Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're exploring something pretty unique, the love affair between a book and its on-screen adaptation.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And we've got interviews, research notes, really diving deep,
That's what we do.
Exactly. Have you ever wondered what it's like for an author to see their characters suddenly walking and talking on the big screen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you think about how much time authors spend building those characters in their minds.
It's got to be wild, right? Like seeing your imagination come to life.
Exactly. And on the flip side, what about the actors stepping into those roles? Especially when there are maybe some tricky relationships involved.
Lots to unpack there for sure.
Definitely.
So to guide us on this deep dive, we've got insights from Mercedes, the author of the book series that inspired this hit movie franchise.
Oh, I love those books.
They're so good, right?
Right.
And we'll also hear from Nicole, one of the lead actors in the films. And we've got some really interesting notes here about how fan communities have formed around these stories.
Oh, yeah, that's such an important aspect.
It is. Okay, so let's jump right in. One thing that really struck me was how Mercedes said that after seeing the actors portray her characters, she can't picture them any other way now.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
It's like the actors have literally imprinted themselves on her imagination.
it's almost like they become co-creators in a way.
Right. And it really shows you the power of visual media, like how it can actually change the way even the original creator sees their own work.
Totally. And it's not just about physical appearance either. The actors bring their own emotions, their own interpretations to the roles, which adds a whole other layer.
That's so true. It's like building on the foundation the author created.
Exactly. And that actually makes me think of something Nicole said about acting. She believes that an actor's main job is to empathize with their character.
Even if they don't agree with everything the character does.
Even then, she says it's about understanding the character's journey, even if it takes them to some morally questionable places. That's a really interesting point. So it's not about judgment, it's about understanding.
Right. And you know what? That actually connects with something Mercedes said about writing from multiple perspectives.
Oh yeah, she's big on that.
It lets the reader, and by extension the viewer, see the bigger picture. To understand why characters do what they do, even if it's messy or controversial.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's shift gears a bit and talk about fan connection.
I love this part.
Right. Both Mercedes and Nicole have these incredible stories about meeting fans who were deeply touched by the books and movies.
I bet. I mean, have you seen the online communities? People are so passionate.
It's amazing. Some fans even told Mercedes that her stories saved their lives.
Wow.
Seriously. It just goes to show how powerful a shared narrative can be.
It's like it creates this bond, this sense of belonging.
Totally. And you can tell it means a lot to both Mercedes and Nicole to see how their work has touched people on such a personal level. It's more than just entertainment.
It's connection. It's
Yeah.
community. It's sharing something meaningful. Exactly. And I think that's what's so special about the relationship between books and their adaptations. They offer these different ways into the same story.
It's like opening multiple doors into the same world.
And that brings us to another interesting aspect. This movie centers around a relationship that some might consider taboo.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a layer.
How do you think both Mercedes in her writing and Nicole in her performance navigated that sensitive territory?
Well, from what Mercedes says, she really focuses on the characters' inner lives, like their motivations and the complexities of their situation.
So even if their actions are questionable, you still understand where they're coming from.
Right. And it sounds like Nicole takes a similar approach with her acting. It's about empathy, not judgment.
So it's about going beyond those surface level labels and really trying to understand the human experience behind it all.
Exactly. And that kind of empathy is crucial, especially when you're dealing with sensitive subject matter. It lets the audience engage with the story on a deeper level.
And you know what I think often adds to that engagement? The chemistry between actors.
Oh, for sure. I mean, think about Nicole and her co-star Gabriel.
Right.
Their real-life dynamic seems to have evolved a lot over the course of filming the series, which mirrors the characters' relationship.
It makes you wonder how much of that on-screen connection is real and how much is acting.
Right. It's like this blurry line between fiction and reality.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive.
I know, right? We've gone from the author's imagination to the actor's interpretation and even touched upon the power of fan communities.
And we've just started to scratch the surface of this fascinating relationship between books and their adaptations. But we'll have to pause here for now. But don't worry, there's so much more to explore. In part 2, we'll delve deeper into the challenges of adaptation, the evolution of on-screen dynamics, and how these fictional worlds we immerse ourselves in can actually shape our understanding of real-life relationships.
Can't wait.
So make sure to join us for the next chapter of our deep dive, where we'll continue to unravel the intricate love affair between books and their on-screen adaptations.
See you there.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Welcome back to our deep dive. We're picking up right where we left off, exploring this fascinating intersection of literature and cinema. You know, where stories leap off the page and onto the screen.
It's like watching a transformation, a story taking on a whole new life. And I'm especially curious to dig deeper into how this particular story, with its, well, potentially controversial relationship, was handled in both mediums.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. Navigating sensitive themes like that requires a deft hand, both from the author and the actors.
Right, and Mercedes talked about that in her interview, how she really wanted to create characters with depth. You know, characters you could understand even if you don't necessarily agree with their actions.
It reminds me of something she said. Let me see if I can find the quote. Ah, here it is. I believe in giving my characters space to be flawed, to make mistakes, to be human, you know? And I think it's through those imperfections that we, as readers, connect with them most deeply.
It's like she's inviting us into their world.
Yeah.
To walk a mile in their shoes and understand why they make the choices they do.
Exactly. And that's crucial for creating stories that resonate, stories that feel real and relatable. Because let's face it, life is messy.
It is. And it sounds like Nicole, in her portrayal of the character, really captured that. You know, she talked about how important it was for her to find empathy for the character, even if she personally didn't agree with everything the character did.
That's powerful stuff. It speaks volumes about her as an actor. To step outside of herself like that, to understand the character's motivations, the vulnerabilities, it takes real skill.
It's like she's saying, hey, let's put our judgments aside and really listen to this character's story.
Exactly. And that's how we build understanding, right? Even if we don't condone someone's actions, it's about seeing the humanity.
And that brings me back to fan connection. It's incredible how deeply invested people get in these stories and characters.
Oh, it's a testament to the power of storytelling. You know, creating those shared experiences, those common grounds where people can come together and just, I don't know, geek out.
It's like finding your tribe, a group of people who get it,
Yeah.
who understand your passion.
And those connections, especially when the story tackles complex themes like this one, can be so powerful. You know, it opens up space for dialogue, for exploring different perspectives, for fostering empathy.
For sure. Speaking of challenges, what are your thoughts on adapting a book for the screen? Seems like a pretty daunting task.
It's definitely a balancing act. You have to stay true to the source material while also finding a way to make it work in a different medium.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, right?
Exactly. The screenwriter has to make tough choices. What to keep, what to change, how to translate those internal thoughts and emotions into something visual and dramatic.
And then there's the whole pressure of satisfying the book's fan base.
Oh, yeah. They've already got their own interpretations and expectations.
I'm curious, how do you think Mercedes felt about the whole adaptation process? Do you think she felt like her vision was respected?
Well, based on her interview, she seemed pretty happy with the end result. She was involved in the process, gave feedback, and acknowledged that some changes were necessary.
It's like a collaboration, a dance between the author and the filmmakers.
Exactly. They each bring their own strengths and expertise to create something new and exciting.
You know, what I find really fascinating is how the chemistry between Nicole and Gabriel, her co-star, mirrored their characters' relationship. It felt so real.
Casting is everything. Finding those actors who not only embody the characters, but also have that spark, that connection, it's like magic when it happens.
Do you think that real-life bond actually enhances their performance? I mean, does it allow them to tap into something deeper, something more authentic?
I think it definitely plays a role. You know, when actors have a natural rapport, it translates to the screen. There's an ease, a fluidity to their interactions. It just feels more believable.
Like they're not even acting, they're just being.
Exactly. And that can make all the difference. When we, as viewers, sense that connection, that spark, it pulls us in, makes us believe in the story even more.
It makes you wonder, though, does it even matter if that chemistry is real or just really good acting?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the viewer. Some people might prefer to believe the connection is genuine, while others might appreciate the skill and artistry it takes to create that illusion.
It's like that debate about method acting versus, more technical approaches. Some actors completely immerse themselves in their roles, blur the lines between their own lives and the characters, while others rely on technique.
And both can be equally effective. It's all about finding what works for the individual actor.
At the end of the day, it's about the story's ability to transport us, to make us believe, right?
Exactly. We willingly suspend our disbelief. We let ourselves get swept away by the emotions, the characters, the world the story creates.
And maybe that emotional journey is even more powerful when we sense a genuine connection, whether it's real or expertly crafted.
It adds that extra layer of depth. That's something special.
Okay, before we go any further, let's take stock. We've been talking about the challenges of adaptation, the power of fan communities, and that intriguing dynamic between real-life chemistry and on-screen magic.
But there's one crucial element we haven't touched on yet: the ending. How did both the book and the movie handle the resolution of this complex and, let's be honest, controversial relationship?
You're right. The ending is what stays with you long after the credits roll.
Especially in a story like this where the central relationship pushes boundaries, the ending carries a lot of weight.
So tell me, how did Mercedes handle the ending in the book? Did she play it safe? Or did she dare to challenge conventions?
Well, based on my reading, she chose a path that embraces ambiguity. It's not a neat and tidy resolution. It leaves room for interpretation.
It's like she's saying, I trust you, the reader, to grapple with this, to draw your own conclusions.
Right. It's a bold choice. And I think it speaks to her confidence as a storyteller. She's inviting her readers to engage on a deeper level, to think for themselves.
And I bet it sparks a lot of discussion among fans, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a gift to the reader, an invitation to keep the conversation going, to explore the themes long after the book is finished.
And how did the movie handle the ending? Did it stay true to that ambiguity, or did it go for a more definitive resolution?
That's a question we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll dissect the movie's ending and analyze how it all comes together.
Stay tuned. It's going to be a thrilling conclusion to our deep dive as we uncover the secrets of the silver screen and unravel the tapestry of love, loss, and the power of storytelling. And we're back. For the final act of our deep dive, it's been quite a journey, hasn't it? Tracing this story from page to screen. And now we arrive at the grand finale, the ending.
Yeah, the ending of a story, it always holds so much power. It's that final note that lingers.
Especially in a story like this one, where love bumps up against societal expectations.
Right. It's like, does the ending uphold those expectations or does it completely shatter them? Does it leave you heartbroken, hopeful, or maybe somewhere in between?
Let's rewind to the book for a moment. Mercedes, she left things pretty open-ended, right? No clear-cut happily ever after.
No, she didn't. It was like she trusted her readers to wrestle with it all, to come to their own conclusions about the characters and their choices.
I can see how that would be frustrating for some readers. We like things tied up in a neat little bow.
Sure, but it's also kind of exciting, right? Because it makes you think. You become part of the story.
It's like she's handing you the torch and saying, okay, now it's your turn to carry this story forward.
And that's what good art does. It sparks conversations, challenges your perspectives, and honestly makes you think about your own life.
So the big question is, how did the movie handle this? Did they stick with that ambiguity or go for something more concrete?
Well, they took a different path, but one that I think still honored the spirit of Mercedes's vision. They offered a resolution that I'd say leaned more toward hope.
Oh, interesting. What made it feel hopeful?
Without giving too much away, I think it ultimately suggests that growth is possible, even when things are messy and complicated. It acknowledges the hurt, but also hints that love and understanding can win out, even if it's not picture perfect.
So maybe it's saying the journey matters just as much as the destination.
Exactly. And that message really resonates, especially if you've ever dealt with complicated relationships or gone against the grain of what society expects.
It's a good reminder that life isn't always about finding the right answers. It's about embracing the messiness, the constant evolution of things.
And finding beauty in that.
Which brings us back to something Nicole said about empathy. Not just as an actor, but as a way of engaging with stories, especially those that push us outside our comfort zones.
Totally. When we approach a story with empathy, we open ourselves up to new ways of seeing things.
And this story really does that, both the book and the movie. It makes you question your own assumptions and think about things from different angles.
It reminds us that love is a powerful force. It can break down walls and open our hearts to new possibilities.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the author's imagination, to the actor's portrayals, to the passionate fan communities, we've really explored this incredible dance between the page and the screen.
And we've seen how one story can spark so many conversations and connect people in such meaningful ways.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm just struck by the power of storytelling. Whether it's a book, a film, or even just a conversation with a friend, stories have this amazing ability to shape our world.
And to remind us that we're all connected, that we're all in this together.
Absolutely. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep letting stories ignite your imagination.
And keep diving deep.